Okay. Hello. I'm with Nate, Mr. Perfect Perez. He's a 1-0 prospect out of Springfield, Missouri. He has a fight this weekend at Synergy FC 28. Um, Hello, Nate. How is your weight cut going? How's camp going so far?
Hey man, weight cut's going good so far. Few pounds out right now, but
Mhm.
camp has been amazing. This go around we did a 6 week camp and everything's been running smooth and ready to showcase what we've been working on.
So first, I'll just touch on, I noticed that this is a big camp for the gym, in general. I think, what is it? It's you, Joseph Murphy, and then is it RJ Hayes? Is he?
It's Connor Pinkley is
Connor
making his
Pinkley.
pro.
Sorry. Yeah, right. Connor Pinkley. I was thinking about doing him as a prospect, but I want to see his first pro fight before that. But like how has that been training with guys that are going to be on the same card as you? I mean, I think you've done this before. I think your pro fight was with Joseph, or maybe.
Yeah, so man, I've been training with some of these regional guys, specifically those two for a few years now. So it's awesome when we all get to fight on the same card. It's a lot of fun going in there, and it definitely feels like more of a team sport than an individual
Hmm.
when we get on these cards together. But yeah, training with guys that are really good and push you, and then getting to fight with them is very rewarding.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that people don't realize about MMA is that it does have that team sport aspect where like sometimes there are these big gyms or these smaller gyms that will do regional shows where it's all the fighters or it's like, especially like teams like American Top Team, they'll have a bunch of guys on UFC cards and stuff like that, but it's even more on smaller promotions and stuff like that where one gym or one gym's just in that area. Okay, but let's
hmm
let's talk about you. So what sports did you grow up with? Like, and then what's your base, I guess? I'm guessing wrestling?
Yeah, I mean that's a great guess. Like growing up, probably the first sport I got into was football. But as I got old, I kind of grew up. I was a smaller kid.
Hmm.
Didn't love the idea of tackling big dudes and breaking ankles and whatnot. So, but I still love football. But I started to transition towards wrestling probably like my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Started doing that, and I wasn't like crazy standout wrestler. In fact, I think my record was pretty 50-50. Like my senior year. But I enjoyed it. I got experience. And then I ended up doing the military after school.
Okay, cool.
So I did some like combative training there, but that's pretty much like my sports background.
So when did you was Springfield Fight Club your first gym or
Yeah, so it was my first gym training MMA. This was around I started around the time that COVID hit. So I was going to
okay.
college at the time and then got out of college and wanted to give MMA a go and actually I lied. So like Springfield Fight Club, I've been training with them since day 1, but technically I started at this gym I work at called TR Fitness.
Okay.
We used to have a fight team there, and then
Interesting.
literally a couple years ago, the head coach stepped away from the fight program, so we just transitioned to full time at Springfield Fight Club. But since I started training, they were always like a sister gym to us, and I always got a few days in a week there with them.
Okay. Um, and so amateur, you started off hot, then if I look at it right, yeah, you started off two wins, and then three losses in a row. What
hmm
what was going on there? Because obviously that hasn't happened since, but
Yeah,
what was like what did you learn from that? Like, I mean, what is it? It's all decisions. Yeah, it's all decisions, one of them even being split. So what did you learn
yeah.
from that? Like how did you grow from being a 2-3 amateur fighter now to a 1-0 pro fighter on a three fight or what is it, 3 or 4 fight win streak? Four fight.
I think it's four fight, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that was definitely the goal was to come back from that and keep the winning streak consistent. I would say at the time, like when I first started, I definitely had a lot of that imposter syndrome going.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
yeah, and so when I got to like 2-0, it felt good, but like I definitely was like feeling a certain kind of pressure to perform at that point, and then mixed with I took all those matchups were either outside of the 125 weight class or they were
Okay.
last minute opponents. So I know the first loss was a week notice, and then the other two were 2 week notice fights. But also too, those particular fights, I remember kind of overlooking the guys a little bit on their skill set.
Mm-hmm.
So I just learned to, take every fight seriously, never overlook a guy, and never slack on the training. I think too, like there was a certain point that I was 2-0 and I felt good about it, and I kind of had a few months or probably a majority of that year where I would kind of do enough at practice but then kind of leave early or maybe neglect some of the extra work. And after the third one, I was just like, something's got to change. So
Mm.
I kind of invested more of myself into it. Now I try and stay last person there in practice. I don't miss any days hardly, and just like I said, taking it seriously, not overlooking guys, coming well prepared at every time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to show, just looking just the first glance at the fight coming up this weekend, I think it's very easy for anyone that's looking at it to overlook the guy that you're fighting. I mean,
Yeah,
he's never won on tap all like it says, we don't know what he's could have had other stuff, but
yeah,
that isn't, in my opinion, that even makes it more scary because like he could be just as hungry like you're saying. Like something has
he's
to
got
change.
nothing to lose. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's great for me to just hear that you said that as well. I just think that that gives me even more confidence in you as well. Just is that you are just thinking about that as well. But so 3 wins amateur. What you win 3 in a row in amateur, and I think what is that? You win a belt at Nemesis Fighting Alliance. Is that
yeah.
you won the belt? Was that like the I'm gonna go pro now, or was it like what was the pro? What was the choice to go pro?
Yeah, so like when I first got into it, I kind of always had goals, aspirations to be a pro fighter,
Hmm.
and my coach kind of told me, get at least 8 to 10 amateur fights, which are now dang near pro level,
Hmm.
um, before you like go pro. And so I had gotten to the point where I had fought pretty much the best guys in my regional
Right.
and was beating them, and then I had gotten to a point where I was like, okay, I could see myself fighting for a belt, and I wanted one. And so I got to that point where I was on the win streak, or I had two in a row at that point, and then I was going to fight Bryce, and I kind of just told myself going into the fight of like, if I go out there and I can beat this guy, make it look easy, and win
Hmm.
a belt, I think that's a good cap on my amateur career. 3 in a row belt to say, okay, now it's time to make that transition to
Hmm.
pro. And so once I was able to go out there and do that, and also just with my past experience, I felt like it was finally the time to make that transition.
Okay. So now we move to the pro fight, and I actually think that was my first synergy card because I was just looking back at some of my tweets, and I predicted a second round submission from you.
Really?
So yeah, I just realized that today. But let's talk about that because that first round, I'm
Hmm.
gonna say that's you're down 1-0. So what
Yeah.
do you like when you go into the corner? Is that what you're thinking as well? Like, shit, I'm down 1-0. I just kind of got, like what was the game plan there? Like what were you trying to wrestle him or like what was because
Yeah.
I feel like that could have
I
been like a
mean,
shock.
yeah, I mean the game plan, I feel like there's always a kind of filling out process.
Hmm.
We always have game plans for the guys we're facing.
Yeah.
But I always count on making real time reads in the fight. So whatever information they're giving me, I try to adjust to that rather than coming in there with like a set plan of it has to go this way or I have to do this thing. But with him, there was a filling out process, and he kind of, I felt like, threw the kitchen sink at me. He was just going crazy, throwing
Yeah,
whatever he could.
he
And
was.
so I had to corral that a bit, and then we got into the ground exchanges, and I remember being in grappling exchanges with him. For some reason, man, I just didn't feel like I was in a lot of danger. So I was taking a lot of risk, like pulling a guillotine,
Yeah, yeah.
and then end up on bottom, and then kind of like he was putting good pressure, but I was honestly kind of chilling on bottom. Like there was times and moments where I should have just exploded and got up, and I finally did at the end of the round. But I was
hmm
kind of like just like trying to catch stuff because didn't, like I said, I wasn't overlooking him, but I didn't feel like I was in threat, and I was just being patient in a hurry.
Yeah.
So then we get to the end of the round, and I get to my corner, and I'm like, dang, man, I feel like I dropped that round. And my corner's
Okay.
telling me, you definitely dropped that round.
Yeah. Good
They're like,
corner.
yeah, they're like, this guy, he don't belong in there with you. And they were like, bring your feet with you. They were like, when you sit
Mm,
down on your punches and you go, I said, you're landing every time. But they were like, bring your feet with you. So I was kind of like, okay. And then once I got in there, it was like instant adjustment. Like I felt
yeah.
like I kind of
Yeah.
shifted to a different mode, and I was finding him at the end of my range. And then yeah, once I dropped him with the front kick, I knew that once I get to the ground, I pretty much know that I'm gonna
Yeah,
find the submission.
that was a tight rear naked choke. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. But no, I think my tweet was something around the line of great win, moves to 1-0, showed like it was nice to see some adversity. Like not a lot of pro fighters go in there with, especially on a 3-fight win streak, that they're just gonna, especially facing a guy that's 0-1, they're supposed to just, get him done in the first round. But I don't know, sometimes it can really be good to get those 5 minutes under your belt and then go in there
Yeah.
and show that here's what I actually look like. Um,
Yeah, it was good to get a feel for a 5-minute round, especially for that first fight.
yeah. Had you the amateur, yeah, they're only 3 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess just to wrap things up, some more like fun questions, like how'd you get the nickname Mr. Perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Had,
Oh, did you have more?
no, the I said how'd you get the nickname Mr. Perfect?
Yeah, that's a great question. My coach at Springfield Fight
Oh,
Club gave it to me,
okay.
and I was just practicing one day, and he kind of just said it, and I was asking him about it, and I pretty there's like this running thing, like I always get my haircuts because one of my sponsors is one of my good friends, and he's a barber.
Okay.
So I always got my hair cut, and I like to wear nice clothes sometimes. And personally, like I have a very high attention to detail. So the name Mr. Perfect came up, and it just kind of
Sick.
stuck.
Okay, cool. I guess not a fun question, but like, what are your goals? Like, what is it to win a belt at Synergy? Is it to, get a couple of more wins under your belt? Maybe try to go to like LFA or,
Yeah.
one of the bigger American promotions, and then obviously see where it goes from there. But like, what are your goals?
Yeah, I mean, my main goal is a lot more general than that. It's
Hmm
honestly just to see my full potential
Yeah,
through.
yeah,
If it's through the sport, awesome. But I'm totally comfortable if things don't go my way. I'm gonna excel in something. But like as far as goals pertaining to the sport, yeah, my goal right now is just kind of to build my resume up in the synergy area. They take good care of us there, and
yeah.
kind of just building my resume up here. And then after a couple fights, definitely look to branch out to a few other promotions I've been looking at, like LFA or APFC or something like
Yeah,
that. So
APFC is a good one too. Yeah.
yeah, I've actually talked to some people from there. So those are some on my like dream list, I guess you could say, before the UFC. But then, yeah, get enough fights, enough activity, enough wins and finishes to
hmm
get hopefully like a contender series
Yeah,
spot, or
of course.
ideally, I would like to come in maybe short notice might be better, but I don't mind doing the contender series
hmm
uh pathway. But yeah, that's the goal, is find my way up regionally, get to the UFC.
That's great. I mean, I'm excited for the fight this weekend. I'm excited for the fight card. I think it's going to be a good one. I don't think I watched the last one. I just don't think it wasn't. There was only like one pro fight, and I feel like it fell through at the last second. But this one's definitely a much better card, so I'm definitely gonna be tuning in. But
Yes, sir.
thank you for your time. And yeah.